Okay, so in the last video, we talked through the first main point, which is where you're going to try to convince the audience that there's a problem that needs to be solved. And now we're going to move to main point two, which is where you're going to explain what we call the plan. The plan is exactly what should be done to solve the problem, and you talk specifically about who should take the action and what should they do. So, for example, smoking on a campus, the obvious agent is the school that runs the campus. So, your plan might be that the College of Southern Nevada should ban smoking on campus. Another option for solving smoking on campus could be something like the College of Southern Nevada should relegate smoking to the parking lots. Or another possible plan could be the College of Southern Nevada should hire snipers who will assassinate smokers on campus. In any event, you're going to say exactly what should be done in as much detail as possible to solve the problem. You're going to talk specifically about the agent who's in control of that issue. And so, a couple of other things about the plan. Ideally, you're going to find an expert talking specifically about the agent and the problem. So, as I was saying, talking about the problem, if your problem is specific to Clark County, like if you want to talk about uniforms in Clark County School District, then ideally your plan will include somebody talking specifically about the Clark County School District and what they should do to implement uniforms in the district. If you want to talk about what the federal government should do to solve a problem, then you should have experts talking specifically about what law should be passed, what should the law say, etc. So ideally, you're going to research the problem and the solution, and you're going to find evidence talking specifically about the location where the problem is and the agent who controls that location and what action they should take to solve the problem. Sometimes you can't do that, and then one possible way to deal with the plan is to find another place that dealt with the same problem and argue the place you're talking about should do what this other place did. So, for example, if we want to talk about recycling on CSN's campus, and we happen to know that LA City College, whatever, LA Community College has a really good recycling program, then your plan could be the College of Southern Nevada should implement the program that is used at LA City College or LA Community College. And then you would go into detail about exactly what that school does and how it would translate to CSN. So I want to see in as much detail exactly how the plan would work and what you would think they should do. And the other thing is, in the introduction to your speech, you are going to state the plan as your reveal topic sentence. So, for example, in a speech about smoking on campus, in my speech, I would have my attention getter, and then my reveal topic sentence would sound something like this. In my speech today, I hope to convince you that CSN should ban smoking on campus. Or today, I hope to persuade you that the Clark County School District should ban junk food from vending machines. So you're going to say right at the beginning of the speech exactly what your plan is in one sentence. Okay, so now this may not be a super long main point, but you just want to let the audience know who the actor is, what action they should take in as much detail as possible. And then you're going to move on to main point 3, which is called solvency. Now, this could be a little confusing if you've already read the chapter, but if you pay attention to the lecture, it should clear up. So, Solvency is arguments that if the plan were put in place, that it would work, that it would solve the problem. The book calls this practicality, but as you'll see on the next slide, practicality means something different. So solvency is as much information and evidence and arguments that if the plan were put in place, it would solve the problem. This is where evidence is going to come into play. So, and again, ideally, if you're talking about, for example, the Clark County School District, you're going to have an expert that has written an article or book or has a website where they say if the Clark County School District were to switch to a uniforms only policy, that would solve bullying problems or that would allow more focus to go on education. If you're doing a speech where you're trying to eliminate smoking on campus, then in the solvency main point, you're going to talk about the benefits of not having smoking on campus. So in this main point, you want to find evidence that's specific to the plan and specific to the agent saying that if this plan is put into place, it will solve the problem. So here's a different example than what I've been using. In some cities, selling pets in pet stores is banned. So for example, PetSmart can't sell dogs. So in the plan main point, you'll say, in my speech, I want to convince my audience that the city of Las Vegas should make it illegal for pet stores to sell dogs. In the solvency main point, you have to give evidence that in cities where pet stores are banned from selling dogs, something was solved. So mainly the reason for this kind of legislation or this kind of law is that it forces people to get dogs from shelters instead of buying purebreds or buying dogs from factory farms. And so you will have evidence from other cities where once they put this law into place, their shelters cleared out and they started avoiding some of the problems that pet stores selling pets had. At this point in your speech, you want your audience pretty convinced that it's a good idea to do the plan, and if the plan were to be put in place, it would work. And then your final main point is practicality. Practicality is arguments that the plan is worth doing to solve the problem. All right, let me give you an example that incorporates solvency and practicality. Let's say I wanted to argue that CSN should pay professors $1 million a year. Now, that plan would solve a problem because every professor in America pretty much would want to come teach at CSN. We could have the best professors in the country, and so that would be great for students. You'd have the best professors possible. So that would solve a problem potentially, paying professors $1 million each. But is it practical? Can CSN afford that? Can the state of Nevada afford that? And the answer is probably no. Here's another example. Let's say you were allowed to do an immediate action speech. You're not, but let's say you are. Let's say your plan is that the audience members should hire a personal trainer to work out with 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and they should hire a personal chef to live with them and cook them healthy meals. Now, from a solvency perspective, would that plan solve a problem? Of course it would. If you are overweight or out of shape and you work out with a personal trainer 5 days a week and you have a nutritionist cook you healthy, delicious meals, you're going to lose weight and be healthier. So solvency is pretty easy to prove. Now, is it practical for your audience? So think about it for a second. Personal trainers are usually, let's say, $50 to $100 an hour. 10 hours a week at $50 is $500 a week for personal training. To hire somebody to live with you and exclusively cook for you, that's going to be, at least $500 a week. So we're saying In order to solve the problem, my plan will cost you $1,000 a week. Will it work? Yeah. Is it practical? No. Here's another practicality issue. Not a lot of people have 2 hours a day to work out. So even though working out that much may be good for us and it may solve a problem, it may not be practical. So practical is looking at questions like, can we afford to do this? Do we have the time to do this? Do the costs outweigh the benefits? So here's another example. If we want to convince people to recycle styrofoam, does it make sense practically for me to build a styrofoam recycling plant in my backyard? So I'm going to build a building in my backyard. I'm going to get all the equipment to recycle styrofoam. I'm going to hire a couple people to run my little styrofoam recycling plant in the backyard. And when I come home with leftovers and eat them, I'm going to walk the container out to the guy and be like, here, recycle this. Would that solve a problem? Yes, theoretically, if I have a styrofoam recycling plant in my backyard, it will solve the problem of not being able to recycle styrofoam, but it's not practical to do that. So you always have to prove practicality of your plan. And so these quotes kind of help you get a sense for practicality. One quote is, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. So if you don't bring a tool that's up to the challenge, you're not going to be able to solve the problem. So I've been giving examples of overdoing the solution, but if you want to talk about global warming as the problem, and then you want to say CSN should recycle styrofoam, that policy in and of itself will not solve global warming. So a practical plan is one that fits the size of the problem. And then the opposite is, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. So, you don't want to spend $1 million solving a $10 problem. So practicality is really a question of, does it make sense in the long run or in the big picture to take this action to solve this problem? So school uniforms is an interesting one. For most people, school uniforms are fairly affordable, but there are practicality challenges to school uniforms. Getting them, taking care of them, getting clothes for when the kids aren't in school. So in your speech, you want to address the practicality issues of your plan, and if you can give evidence to show your plan is practical, that's optimal. Okay, so those are the directions for the main points of the persuasive speech. And so now what you can do is sit down with your topic, come up with a topic idea, and submit it in the topic approval assignment. Once you get that done, start doing your research and start looking for evidence of the problem, ideas for how to solve it, ideas for your plan, evidence that the plan will work, and arguments about the practicality, and you will be on your way to a good speech.